Okay, let's move on to our next panel then, ladies and gents. Here's a fact that is staggering. Football is followed by 3.5 billion people. That's not far off half the world's population, by the way. And the nature of the relationship between football and its fan, and it could be the fan of the league, the fan of the team, the fan of the athlete, is one of utter passion. That's why we love it. It takes us through all the different emotions, from agony to ecstasy, all of the colours of the rainbow. And the fan nails their colours to their mast. They eat, drink, live and breathe it, and they follow. And the nature of that situation creates a potential power and energy that can be harnessed for good. We know about the very famous speech from Nelson Mandela at the inaugural Laura Sports Awards in 2000, where he famously said that sport has the power to change the world. But here's my little take on that, which is that it comes with a caveat. It's only a potential power. It needs to be harnessed. We need to do more to make it count. So it's up to us. It's an area that I feel particularly passionate about this, the potential power for football to do good. There are many challenges in this world, and football has the platform to communicate with its vast fan base about how we can try and solve these issues. Things like world poverty, things like gender and racial inequality, the climate crisis. I could go on, but here is the thing. It's not just our responsibility to act, it's our opportunity to act. It's not just we need to do this or we should do this, it's we can do this. So let's talk about this issue in depth and in detail in this next panel. Here are your speakers. The CEO from Sports Network Africa, Robin Peterson, the founder and president from Motsio FC, Mapulani Pochleli, and guiding the conversation, regional associate from LTT Sports, Fatih Abu El Gadayel. Please welcome them on stage. Welcome along, gents and lady. I am so looking forward to this discussion. It's such an important one to have. Fatih, I'll leave it in your very capable hands. Thank you.
Thank you, David. So, hello, everyone. Thank you all to be here. I'm really glad to be here, cutting all over one-day flight to catch here, and I'm really happy that I finally make it, and it really deserves to be here. So, I'm a regional associate for LTT Sports Advisory Group, and our group is actually doing many consultancy service. We are doing club management structuring. We are doing women's football, which is part of also our discussion today, which is how to implement women's football in driving change for social and community activities. Mm-hmm. We also did a youth academy reports. Our advisory group, most of them was working for ECA, European Club Associations. So thank you all to be here, and yeah. Hello, Mapulani. Hello, Robin. Hi. Yeah, so what we are talking about is more about the NGOs and their part in driving change in communities, what we have achieved, what we have, what is our next challenges, because it's a never-ending war, so we want to keep going, how we could do, and what are the main challenges. So first of all, Robin, my question here is how you used at Safe Hub, how you use football as a magnet or catalyst to reach broader youth development and broader structure. As Safe Hub have now many branches, and started from South Africa, going to Berlin, United States, and maybe Ivory Coast. So the floor is yours. Just feel free to explain how it goes.
Thank you. Maybe the best way to do it is to talk about how I came to encounter the Safe Hub program. I was the SAFA CEO in 2011 and 12, and then got seconded to set up a new structure called the SAFA Development Agency, which was really to find ways to fund football development for the Football Association. And I soon became aware, I'd always been aware of them, but that there's a whole world, a parallel universe of NGOs that use football for various things. Mm-hmm. And as a football association, we were aware of them, but not really directly engaging, maybe at a local level, but not at a national level. And there were conflicts that were emerging and some challenges and tensions. So we called a conference of all of these NGOs from across the country to come where we shared our vision as the association about what we were trying to achieve from a football development point of view, and then some of them spoke. And out of that, I got invited to come and see some of these projects. So spent a week, went to a number of them around the country, and I ended up in Cape Town and met this NGO called Amandla Edu Football and heard about their program called Safe Hub. And as I listened to their presentation and what they were doing, what they had accomplished at that point, it became very clear to me that this was by far the best program I had come across. It was confirmed actually by a month or so later. They won the Beyond Sport Best Global Program Award as well. So it just made sense to me that here was a program that used football as the means to attract young people. It's the greatest magnet of anything that you can have. So build an infrastructure that's world class, a full-size artificial pitch turf with floodlights, a youth development center. Use that to attract young people into a program and then take them on a journey, a lifelong journey, from early childhood development age kids, so preschool kids, all the way through to young adults. Take them through a program of life skills, of educational support, of psychosocial support, of training in entrepreneurship and business, helping them to become employed, and take them on a long-term journey that will interrupt this intergenerational cycle of poverty, inequality, unemployment. Create hope, create possibilities, and do that in a structured and intentional way. That was their vision, and there are many people who have visions, but very few that begin to realize it. And when I saw what they had accomplished at that stage, they said they wanted to have 10 centers around the continent. I said we need 100, and we do. And so we started on a journey then with the development agency and Amandla to create a national program, and then eventually it's now become an international program. Safe Hub is now, we will, by 2025, we will have 30 to 35. We're not sure if we'll hit the 35 number in South Africa. And then we've now actually have broken ground on a Safe Hub in Berlin, in Germany, and in Philadelphia. And then in partnership with Serge Ganabre, we're opening up a Safe Hub in Cote d'Ivoire. So from its birth in the township of Khayelitsha in Cape Town into a national program with partnerships with the Development Bank, with partnerships with major corporate partners, we've managed to grow this into a very, very significant intervention that reaches over 200,000 young people.
Wow.
Wow, 2,000 people, that's
Wow.
really a great number. That's really a great number to reach. And something, for attendees information that, Safe Hub have a vision, 2030 vision, to reach more and more people with disadvantages. So would you elaborate a bit on this vision, in terms, the number of people you want to target?
I mean, our vision is to reach 1 million young people globally. And so each Safe Hub, just to explain what it means, we have the pitch and the infrastructure. The young people then register. They come as they are, without shoes. There's no talent requirement. They just come. They register as a five-a-side team. They play in a league that we organize, a five-a-side league, age-appropriate, boys and girls. So at a young age, they play together. As they get older, we separate into boys and girls programs. So we have about a ratio of 60-40 boys and girls. They play five-a-side football, but when they play that five-a-side football, they are accompanied by someone we call a playmaker. And a playmaker is a young person that we've recruited from the local community that goes on to a one-year training program, an internship program, also a formal educational program. And they run the program on the pitch with these young people. So when the kids are playing, they're not just playing football and scoring goals, they're also being judged on what we call a fair play league. So they're learning all about how to behave when you win, how to deal with adversity, how to contain your violence, how to contain your aggression. So their team gets scored on fair play football. We then have a night league on a Friday night that takes the 18 to the 35-year-olds. In Khayelitsha, which is our first site, there are still 550 people who come on a Friday night and play five-a-side. It starts at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, runs through till after midnight. And it's getting young people at the most vulnerable and at-risk age off the streets on a Friday night into a safe space. That's why we call it a safe hub. It's creating a safe space where young people can actually have interventions that will help them change the course of their lives, and then obviously have an impact on the local community.
Yeah, that's really how to provide to build a healthy environment which could develop more players actually. So in future, growing up in this environment, in this healthy environment, is always like giving up to community, more calm player, more role models, which is actually could move me to the other ones. So I just want to ask, first of all, Motsio FC, it's a foundation based in Lesotho, and using the women's football to drive change in community, to make social projects, which is actually something I really want to start about. 5 years ago, Apollonia, 5 years ago, women's football was totally irrelevant topic in Africa. Unlike now, we have sold out stadiums in Women Chan, and we have inter-club competitions for women's football. But 5 years ago, the situation was not the same at all. So first of all, how you got inspired that you could drive community change through women's football, through a topic was actually irrelevant to African people. And the second question, as part of the question is, what are the main struggles that you have faced? It was for awareness, for example, or financials, or support, or participation. So how it started, how it been through until it reached this level.
Oh, thank you very much, Fatih. Thank you, everyone. I'm really honored to be here. 5 years ago, Motsio FC was born to get women out of their comfort zones to start off with, to tap into a male-dominated sport for empowerment purposes, and to encourage our children on the streets to come and play with the women especially, so that they get a mentorship from their mothers as they play. So it has really been amazing 5 years since Motsio FC was born. First and foremost, Motsio in Lesotho is a word that means a kitchen. And to become a member of the club, a woman participating has to have a name, a filled name, and that name has to be something found or used in the kitchen. Becomes their name, like we have spoon, we have microwave, we have mittens. I am freezer, aka freeze. So we have, all different ingredients as names. And we came to realize that as we use this kind of names on the field, it sort of makes women feel they belong in this football as well. They belong in what we are doing, because for the longest time, as I just said, it has always been something that was mostly done by men. It has really been such a great addition to activities that women typically do. Most importantly, it has shown women that the sky is not even a limit. They can do anything that they want to do, that they focus on. It is doable. It is also something that we found to be the greatest addition onto charity initiatives, because as we play, we encourage women in our communities to bring Children, regardless of whether they are orphans, they are blind, it doesn't matter whatever challenges the children have, we play with them. And it has really built the momentum that we needed and has shown everyone that football is indeed a language that is understood by all. The most, heartwarming experience is when a child from the street comes and observes women playing. You can imagine women at my age on a soccer pitch. Nobody would have thought it was possible. And then they come to observe. Obviously, it is something that interests everyone, as in the football. But now to come to the pitch to realize, oh my goodness, what are their names? Because the names will be on our regalia, okay? And then, okay, they'll start calling teaspoon. Hi, that's tea bag. Oh my God, that is chakalaka. Oh, that's nutmeg, and so on and so forth. So it creates this exciting atmosphere to say this is a safe haven, this is where you can leave whatever challenges you have at home, come and release any kind of depressing issues that you may be encountering or have encountered. Honestly, having football in this initiative has really empowered a lot of women, because we do also realized that sometimes you may want to do something good for someone, but many times we realize that people don't actually know where to chip in to give assistance to probably to underprivileged women or vulnerable children. So they realize that through Motseo FC, that's where you can actually partner or go and be a member, so that that platform will give you that easy access to knowing how to easily team up with other women to, sort of reduce the ailing issues in our communities. Fatih, you talked about the challenges that we encountered since the formation of this beautiful club of women of substance. We have had challenges. We got people laughing. Really? Can you really play? Will you last 90 minutes? Are you serious? This is not for grown-up women. This is for children. Leave it for the professionals. Leave it for... to get support was really a big challenge. It hasn't been easy, and it still is. But guess what? The more challenging it becomes. No matter how high the mountains are, but the sun will always shine, right? So we just keep persisting, we just keep soldiering on, regardless. However, it is people like yourselves and the opportunity that we are now having with WFS Africa to come here and meet like-minded individuals to say, yes, this is happening, this is what you should be doing. We should have started a long time ago, actually, even in the first place. So we are really humbled. It is amazing, and we are not going to stop. We have now on our list of members, we have about 1,000 women who are now members of Motseo FC since 2017 when we started, and the club keeps growing and growing. We are grateful.
Which is a very long journey and very inspirational. And even in a country who don't have a good football structure in terms of women's football. So, for example, if I hear this journey and this story in Nigeria, for example, Nigeria have really a very good team in women's football. But yeah, when you hear it in Lesotho, that's really incredible. And yeah, congratulations for that. And yeah, for attendees information as well. Motio FC has been invited to Equal Playing Field event, which was a very big event prior to 2019 Women's World Cup. Motio FC was invited and participated in that event, which is take me to a question: how this impact Motio FC activities, and in terms of the reputation of and the global awareness, for example, because you have been participated with with a lot of groups.
Yeah.
And as I said, Equal Playing Fields is always doing women's football projects, and they did it in many disadvantaged areas, in Middle East, in Africa, and East Asia. So I just want to ask how that impacted the activities and Motio FC reputations.
Amazing, amazing. You know, when you are doing something and then you get recognition from far away from home, that's when you know that you're doing something great. It was such an amazing experience to be in France during the Equal Playing Field initiative. It was really humbling. The exposure that was given to Motio FC since that time, amazing. I don't know. Honestly, we are still very much humbled by the initiative that Equal Playing Field did, and if it wasn't because of them, we would probably not even be here where we are. But thank God for social media, because what we are doing was then recognized, was then seen. You know, we try every now and then to showcase what we are doing in our small little mountain kingdom of Lesotho. So it has really been an amazing, you can imagine, just out of nowhere, getting an email to say, hey ladies, we see what you do. It's amazing. Come join us in France. Where in France? Yeah. Get on a plane. Come play. Oh my God, what an experience that was. I felt even up to today, I know it was God ordained that we include football in our charity work and what we are doing. Honestly, it was amazing. I hope I managed to answer your question, Fati.
Yeah, that's completely drive it and 100% targeted.
Okay, thank you.
So just to be out of the box a bit. So Robin, what we see is CAF is really using club licensing regulations as a tool, which is something we have seen and witnessed in the last version, the launching of the last version. So we see new regulations help member associations and countries to develop the infrastructure, to manage the administration level, to manage the coaching. So coaches have to have a license. Do you think these decisions could be a bright light for social responsibility and community activities? So maybe CAF can use it to improve the community activities in the future?
Yeah, I think that club football in Africa, South Africa, has got enormous challenges in just survival, financially, administratively, in all kinds of ways, and have not really had resources beyond that survival to do much. But that's not all clubs. There are some clubs that have got good and strong resources and that should be doing a lot more. When we look at the international models of what clubs are doing for their local communities, their engagement in projects across the board, I think African football has a long way to go. And I think that the club licensing, yes, it has to start with the basics. It has to start with administration, with building commercial viability, coach education, all of the industry-specific things that are necessary to create successful football in the continent. But once you've dealt with that, the next step, I think, is around how do we use the power of football to do what this topic is, to rebuild the world. You know, Africa as a continent is faced with so many challenges. And football is that one element that brings nations together, that brings communities together, that brings gender together, and has a tremendous power. And I think that the club licensing tool will become very important going forward to first of all challenge clubs to look beyond their core business in a way, and to see that you can't have a successful club if you don't have a community that's successful. Absolutely. So there needs to be that building of that environment. You know, with the Safe Hub, the argument I made to the Football Association was that we were trying to raise money for football development, building pitches, training coaches, identifying talent. And it's really, really difficult to get sponsors to do that kind of stuff. Because when you are funding development, you're building foundations, and foundations are messy and ugly and they don't look pretty. It's only when that building comes up that you can put your branding on afterwards. But someone's got to pay for that foundation work. And sponsors traditionally don't do that because you can't measure the same kind of media returns on investment. So the challenge that I faced, I thought, we've got this legislation in this country that forces companies to spend money on corporate social investment, on enterprise development, on various other skills development. They legislatively are required to do that. I thought, this is going to be easy. We'll tap into that money for football development. And what I found as I started speaking to corporates in that space was they said, yeah, we understand football development's nice to have, but we need to fund education. We need to fund health. We need to fund gender rights. We need to fund crime and violence initiatives and so on. And that's where our funding goes. So my insight that then became, I think, a mobilizing one was around, let's use a program like Safe Hub that builds infrastructure, that provides education, support, crime and violence prevention, all of those things that these corporates are investing in. But then let's do that in partnership with the Football Association, so when that infrastructure gets built, on the weekend, the local Football Association now has a pitch with floodlights that they can use for their activities. And that's what happens. So in Johannesburg, in Soweto, in Alex, in Diepsloot, on the weekends, the centre is used now by the Football Association to run its programs. And they do that without charge. So we are building football infrastructure by using money that's going for social investment, and it's turning out to be a really powerful combination.
Yeah, which is really, all of your thoughts is really confirming something that was in my mind, and actually I've experienced when I was setting club management experience for some of the club and some of the leagues. And yeah, we see always people just focusing on sport and business, but we do believe at LTT that community should be implemented, which take me to curious to get the answer for question is, do you think that African football clubs need to develop first their internal structure in terms of sports and business to be able to be involved sustainably in community activities? Because when I have a look on the most successful foundations, I found the Premier League, but Premier League have very successful, the most successful business model in the world. I see the La Liga, the same, Bundesliga Foundation, and many other. But you always see they have first successful business model, which can make them able to invest and to put efforts and enough support to the community activities. So do you think it's the same case with African football clubs?
Yeah, I think it is. It's got to develop that way. It's not there yet, but it has to develop that way. I mean, the challenge that we face in the Safe Hub program is that to run a program where we're employing in each Safe Hub around 20 people, where we have infrastructure costs, lighting, program costs. We're dealing with between 2,000 and 5,000 young people in a safe hub over a course of a week. We have tremendous overhead and operating costs, and our challenge is we can't keep relying on sponsors and donors and philanthropy and so on to grow. So what we've been developing over the last 3-4 years now, quite successfully, is to build for-profit enterprise owned by the not-for-profit, so that the profits that we generate from the for-profit goes to the not-for-profit to fund the programs.
Yeah.
And that has had very successfully in 3 areas. One is in call centers. We now have got 3 call centers, 2 in Soweto, 1 in Alex in Johannesburg. We're going to be opening one up here in eThekwini as well. There's a safe hub now being built in KwaMashu, through and together with the city, through funds that are coming from National Treasury. But we will build, and so the call center in Soweto, we now employ 120 young people in that call center. We don't run it, we have an operator who runs it. But the money that we get, the revenue share that we get from that call center is funding our operating costs of our safe hub in Jabulani. We're doing the same with agriculture as we move into rural areas now. We have a very big agriculture program that we're developing that will also now, with a pack shed and 1,000 food gardens, that will then provide a business revenue that will sustain our rural safe hubs. And similarly, we're moving into the area of green energy and solar power, partnering with solar operators to be able to both have equity stakes and business stakes in that generate revenues to make our program sustainable. And I think we have to be incredibly creative and innovative in this space, because we can't keep relying on donor funding, because that can end. A sponsor can say, we've had enough of that, we want to do something else. It's a change of leadership. The CEO's got a new vision. So we can't be dependent. We have to find ways to create sustainable revenues, and we're doing that now quite successfully. I think a further development would be to have a much closer partnership around the developing of talent pipelines and academies. We've stayed out of that space because it's not our core business, but I think in partnership we could certainly make that another revenue generator for the social programs.
Okay, that's maybe take me to another open question. It's, we all know that CAF have launched Super League, which is the most hot topic and the most interested topic, and all of the people are asking about. So, as both of you have worked with top organizations closely and have the support from top organizations, do you see this a threat or opportunity? So, let me just explain it more. So, threat because it will be focused on a certain number of clubs, which might affect the grassroots football and the normal football. An opportunity, for example, maybe generating more profits, which could make CAF more allowed to put more efforts and investments in community projects. So maybe we can find CAF Foundation or like UEFA Foundation or AFC Dream Asia Foundation. So do you think, it could be threat or opportunity? What is the right balance?
Well, for me, speaking on behalf of Matsio, I think it is, we still need, as much as possible, exposure. We need as much exposure regarding what we are doing. The world still has to see what we are doing. Our home country still has to see how much Matsio FC has impacted lives. So working on that level will certainly be at a positive for us, in my view. I don't know about you, Robin, but...
Look, I mean, I think there's two sets of questions. One is it good for African football? And I think there are massive opportunities and massive threats. And I think how it plays out is going to be shown in the future. I don't think one can predict.
Yeah.
I think what CAF needs to do, though, is in setting it up, is to say one of our goals, for instance, would be that a percentage of the revenue that we raise will go into a foundation that is now then going to fund and help fund programs like Moteo and others around the continent that are using football as a catalyst for social change. If that was set up at the beginning, it's hard to do it afterwards, because if you don't do it at the beginning, those funds will just be used for football stuff.
Yeah.
And I think if intentionally it was set up at the beginning, it could be an opportunity. Otherwise, we'll have to wait and see how it pans out.
I agree with you on that.
So it needs to find the good balance. But for my perspective, what I see a good indicators have been recently, as I've mentioned, the club licensing, and then after club licensing, I see some safeguarding activities, which is something we have never witnessed in the past years. I've witnessed, I've seen safeguarding activities in Women Champions League and in Women Women CAN. So the indicators is going good, but I think it needs to have the balance and to still open the opportunity for grassroots, because community activities and grassroots education is always is a key factor in building club identities. So
I just want to make one plea. Please do not simply build infrastructure.
Okay.
You know, I don't know, SAFA, part of the World Cup legacy, and the 27 artificial pitches were built around the country. I've seen the condition of some of those pitches. It's shocking. You're probably all watching this, the FIFA documentary that's out at the moment on Netflix, and there's this terrible scene in episode 2 of the money that was spent to build the headquarters for the Kenyan Football Association. Beautiful building, but chickens running around on the inside. You know, it's very easy to build infrastructure and cut the ribbon and everyone smiles, but to sustain that infrastructure and to make it work is the challenge. Invest in programs that require infrastructure.
Yes.
And that's why I think Safe Hub has been so successful in raising money from government, because we say to them, we don't want money. Yes, we need infrastructure, but it's a program. And here are the outcomes and the impacts, and these are the number of young people. And that's what you must measure us on. How many young people have improved their educational results? How many young people have gone into employment? How many jobs are being created? How many young people have had exposure to a life, etc.? Measure those. We need the infrastructure to achieve that. But don't say, oh, we've built this pitch, or we built this stadium, or we built this thing. It means nothing. It requires money to maintain those, and it requires programs to really make them work. So don't just invest in infrastructure. Invest in programs.
Yeah.
So that could make me, we are just about to wrapping up, and that just want me to ask, another open question is just, do you think football overall is a community activity or a commodity who just focus on generating revenues and making money? So what do you think? It's a community activity or commodity, which is the most challenging question I've ever been asked, and I've ever trying to find the good way of it.
Football is life.
So it's a balance.
In the sense that it's and that's trite, but in a very profound way. It's the kids picking up the ball in the street. It's these women getting out of their home kitchen and making a metaphorical virtual kitchen where they can express themselves in ways that they can't do in the kitchen.
Exactly.
And play with that. Yeah. That's life. And football It's the simplest sport, it's the most accessible sport. It doesn't require big infrastructure, you need a ball.
Yeah.
And that ball can even be punctured.
Yes.
You know, it's a very, so in that way, but what sustains it is that beautiful industry that produces these global superstars that we all want to watch starting next week, and these incredible events, and the passion that it ignites. So it sits at both ends, and both are necessary. And if the business side forgets its roots, it loses its soul.
Yeah.
If the community side doesn't recognize that it exists because of the resources that are generated at the business side, it's going to also not be sustained. So I think both sides equally need each other.
So
I
you
agree.
need to find the right balance between both sides,
Both
Yeah.
sides.
which is something I also agree, because if you just focused on the business side, you're generating profits and everything, but everything will come with like a great wall in your face, because you lost actually to building an identity. You lost actually to promoting the grassroots, who are actually supporting the business side. Because if you are losing, you will. If you are going to make money, you will make it for 1 year, 2 years. But at the end, with bad performance, that would never happen. And if you focus on the community, so I think this could be also okay, you will focus on community, you have good team, but at some day, the good players will leave you because you don't have money to pay them. So I think, I agree with both of you that football is really the right balance between the community and community activities.
Yeah.
So, we are about to end. So thank you so much for both of you. I really enjoyed it, and I really I learned a lot about many things and how it goes behind the scenes. 'Cause actually, you both are running very, very wonderful projects. Safe Hub is quite have different targets, different goals, and using something, and using football at the center to manage it all. Mozio FC came very long way to start it with also a relevant idea to develop the concept that girls can play football, which is something we are really witnessing now. We see how CAF developed and how African continent developed in terms of women's football and launching the competition. So, thank you, Mapelan. Thank you, Robin. Thanks for all attendees for the listening.
Very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, guys. Thank you, Fatih, for guiding that conversation. I mentioned this before. This is perhaps, I'm going to call it, this is the most important area for me, for football to focus on, is this incredible power it can have to leverage to make sure that we create a better world, not just for people right now, but for people in the future. I have 2 young kids. My son Leo is 3. My daughter Imogen is not even 6 months. And I want her to play football. And I just really believe that football has an incredible platform and power that it can potentially harness to really be a force for good in the world. And I believe that it's our duty to do something about it. So that was a fantastic conversation, and we really appreciate the thoughts of Robin and Mapolane. Football, the greatest magnet of anything you can have, said Robin. So build an infrastructure that is world-class. Don't just build infrastructure. You have to sustain it and make it work. So invest in the programs that require infrastructure. It's very smart. And their vision to reach 1 million people, 1 million young people globally. I really hope that they achieve that. And Mapolane talking about getting women out of their comfort zone to tap into a male-dominated sport for empowerment purposes. To get support as women hasn't been easy, she says, but it's important to show women that the sky is not even the limit. And again, it's having that ambition. You have to have that ambition to start off with, and then you build towards that goal.